Hi everyone, Eric Rutens here from Matrix Games, and this is going to be the first in a series of videos that help you learn how to play Panzer Command, Ostfront. We've gotten some feedback that some help would be appreciated with some of the tutorials and bootcamp campaigns, so we're going to start with those. In fact, this is going to be the video on the first scenario in the bootcamp campaign. Now there's an updated bootcamp campaign which you can get on our forums right now, because the first update isn't out yet. It'll be in the first update as well, but grab it from our forums now if you haven't already. Also, if you haven't tried the bootcamp campaign on your own yet, you might want to do that first. This video is going to be filled with spoilers and it's going to show you how to win. So if you're interested in learning on your own first, and coming back here only if you need help, then I would suggest you stop the video now and come back to us if you need the advice. Option-wise, I generally play with these options on. I have verbose messages, vehicle breakdowns, infantry fatigue, and SOP, and I turn limited infantry off so I can see as many guys as possible. And so we're going to go ahead and start the campaign. And here's boot camp. So the first mission, always read the briefing. First mission tells us a few interesting things. We've got about 200 meters of open ground to cross. We've got 12 turns in which to go and get across that open ground and take control of the church. And as the hints further down that are in each boot camp briefing tell you, what you want to do is you want to use smoke to make your approach across open ground easier and less dangerous. We also have, what we have is a platoon of Panzer Grenadiers, a heavy machine gun team, and we have some 81mm mortars to create smoke with. What the Soviets have, I'll explain once we get to the map, they've got more stuff than we do. So it's basically a lesson in how to use section off part of the map so that you can concentrate your force and get your objectives without fighting everybody on the map. And smoke can make that possible if you know how to use it. So here's our Panzer Grenadier platoon. Here are the 4 81mm off-map mortars, and here's our heavy machine gun team. So let's go ahead and start. And here we are. Over here, across this open ground, is the church. It's a heavy stone structure, 3 levels, and the objective is right behind it. In Panzer Command, if you get close enough to the objective with enough forces to take control of it, you've got the objective. The way this scenario is set up, we don't need to kill everybody on the map, we just need to take the objective. And if we control the church, we'll be close enough that we'll take control of that objective. So that's the first tip. Second tip is the Russians have infantry in a lot of these buildings, and along this side they've got a medium machine gun here, and they've got a sniper in the church. They often will deploy some infantry forward, or move it forward, so that they can actually shoot at your approach to the church. So what we want to do is we want to mask that approach very effectively with smoke. We want to approach in a way that we'll be able to take them out before they take us out. And you have to adapt to possibilities. Even though I know how to win this mission, I don't know every time exactly how it's going to work out. And it's very possible that I may lose guys on the way in and have to change my orders and my plans. But one way or another, we'll get there. So if you take a look down here, you can see our Panzer Grenadiers, and here you can see that's the open ground that we're going to have to cross on the way to the church. So I'm going to start by redeploying. I want to get some of my guys into the woods here. I don't want them to be seen by the sniper right off the bat, but I also don't want them to be quite as far away as they are now. I'm using the keyboard shortcuts. Once you get used to Panzer Command, you do a lot with keyboard shortcuts. You can also right-click once you've got selected a unit and pull up the menu for them and do the orders that way. I'm just moving these guys around now. The key with my heavy machine gun team is I like to move it over to the right because I prefer to drop smoke along the left-hand side here to block the infantry on this side from getting at me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the heavy machine gun team over here, and I'm going to end up moving it a little bit further out once the smoke starts dropping. And hopefully that will help. And you can see the terrain map here, which shows me which part is heavy woods, which part is light woods, where there's open ground. And I can turn that off and look at the nice pretty graphics again. So let's go ahead and end the setup phase. And we're fortunate in that both of our platoons start off with artillery contact. When you play the scenario, you may find that you don't start off with artillery contact, that neither of your headquarters have those green stars. That's okay. Just go forward a turn in the game, and chances are one of them will get contact with those 81mm mortars. It usually doesn't take more than a turn or two. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start calling down some of that 81mm mortar fire. CDE is the smoke ammo. We're going to try to place that so that it blocks off. That looks pretty good. We want to make sure to get a little bit in the sniper's way and to block off some of the stuff that could be over here. We'll be moving past this area pretty soon, so that initial stage should not be a problem. In addition, we're going to help out a little bit with that, because we're going to switch to engage orders for the Panzer Grenadiers. We're going to toss a smoke grenade out to that side, just to help cover that part of our approach. Now the mortars are going to take a turn to start arriving. So the smoke grenade is going to be tossed right now. The smoke grenade is going to have a little bit of time to build up, and then the mortars will come down. And we're going to save 2 smoke grenades in case we need them later. Each of these is a one-shot deal, so that squad is going to throw its smoke grenades. These 2 squads will still have smoke grenades left. And we're going to wait to move the heavy machine gun until we've had a little bit more smoke come down, because I don't want it to be shot down while it's moving, which makes it much more vulnerable. We may take a few sniper shots for keeping it in place, but that's still less dangerous than if it's moving. So we're going to go ahead. I've turned the kill camera off too, so it doesn't distract us by moving the camera to kills. And I've set the time to 1.5 times normal, just so we can get through this without boring you guys to death. You've seen that the smoke grenades have been tossed over here. The smoke is going to start to build up. And so far so good. We haven't actually taken any fire from the sniper in the tower, which is always a good thing. You can see the smoke starting to build up some more there. I'm going to speed this up again so we can get through this reaction phase. Back to 1.5 times, and we're now on to turn 2. So the mortars should start dropping. We're going to give them a turn to drop so the smoke can build up, and then we're going to go for the church. As soon as they start dropping, the heavy machine gun team is going to deploy, and the Panzer Grenadiers are going to start making their move. And here you see the 81mm smoke shells coming down. We got our messages in our event log up there. Just made the event log a little bit bigger. So far, these are, it's random where the shells actually come down. They have a pattern that is somewhat randomized. So right now we've got pretty good coverage towards this side. Not so great over there. We got one more phase in this turn. I'm playing with a standard turn structure, so we've got an orders and reaction phase. You can turn that off and just have an orders phase if you want. So we can see it's starting to build up. There we go. So now we got a little more on the other side of the church. Unfortunately, the sniper is still going to have a pretty clear shot at us. It's definitely time to move the heavy machine gun team. We'll see what the smoke cover looks like at the beginning of next turn before we decide on moving the Panzer Grenadiers. And here we go. Alright, the smoke cover is still a bit light, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the Panzer Grenadiers out with a bound order. The heavy machine gun, I'm going to go ahead and rush them. Rush them over to this piece of woods over here, where they can hopefully fire at anybody who comes at us from that side. Now, for the Panzer Grenadiers, I'm going to give them a bound order. Now, bound order alternates rushing with, it's a fast move, with holding still and looking for shots and covering fire. That's a good order if you feel that you don't have enough coverage yet, and you want to make sure that the Soviet infantry that may come in on this flank over here doesn't cause you too many problems. It's probably a little bit safer if I waited one more turn. Now what I did, by the way, is I plotted the bound orders for my headquarters unit of that platoon, and then I adjusted the bound path for my two other squads to make sure they all went into the church. When you're setting a path, it's going to be blue if it's just going in the outside there, but once it's in the church, it's going to turn that magenta color. That means that as soon as they get to the church, they'll go into the church. They're not going to wait outside it. So I wanted all the paths to be set to that. And here we go. Let's see how I do. Alright, so already we can see that we've got Soviets approaching there, and they're already targeting us. And they suppressed both of our moving squads. That's okay. We'll be able to take them under some fire soon too. Where our heavy machine gun team really did not like being shot at while it was on the move. That's going to cramp our style a bit. What I'm going to go ahead and do in the reaction phase here, and you can change to engage target if you're in the orders phase. In the reaction phase, I'm going to tell my squad, instead of doing the move part of their bound, I'm going to halt them and tell them to target these guys instead. I don't want these guys on my flank as I'm moving towards the church. I'm going to let them continue moving because they don't have line of sight to them, and I'm gonna rely on these two to be able to keep them somewhat suppressed. I don't want to lose movement towards the church if I can help it, but it is taking a risk to move these guys in the open. Okay, we just suppressed them. We've now pinned them down. That's good. Alright. These guys are still cowering there. Going to change back to bound orders and replot them for the church. These guys are going to start out stationary for the bound. These other two are going to bound forward. That's what the slightly transparent line means versus the solid ones. Those are the ones who are going to move. That's the one who's going to stay in and look for targets. The heavy machine gun team should rally and rejoin the battle soon. We all hope so. Without the heavy machine gun team, it gets a little more challenging to keep down the Soviets on the right flank. Now we do have a lot of smoke here, but the thing to realize about the smoke is right now it's building up. The wind is blowing, pretty soon the smoke's going to start fading as well. So we don't have all the time in the world in order to make those moves towards the church. And they have rallied, which is just in time as far as I'm concerned. So we've rallied heavy machine gun team here ready. If those guys pop their heads up again, chances are they'll be able to see them. Let's take a look down at the ground level. They've got a pretty good view towards that area where the Soviets were. You can do a line of sight, and it looks like they can pretty much see that whole area here. So we're going to leave them there on defend orders now that they've rallied. And we can see now this time the HQ squad is going to move forward. And these two guys are going to cover fire. If you were just rushing, you would be getting further than I'm getting. But if you're rushing, you probably want to wait for the smoke cover to build up a little bit more than I did before you head out of cover. You can see even the sniper in the tower is going to have a really hard time seeing us through this. As we get closer, obviously, the closer you get to the church, the closer you get to the edges of the smoke, the better the chances that you're going to get spotted by something. Alright, so we're going to let this bound order continue for the time being. Actually, with the heavy machine gun team redeployed, I'm going to go ahead and change to rush. Let's get to the church, no matter what. try to get in there. Get down here and see what things look like. Down at ground level there is a lot of smoke, and you can see our paths, our movement paths, converging on the church here. Alright. Okay, and here we go. The heavy machine gun team is indeed active. Oh boy, they got the drop on me. It doesn't usually work out quite that way. We did shoot back and suppress them, but they did manage to cause casualties. The heavy machine gun team had suppressed me back. So it looks like the heavy machine gun is not going to be as much of a factor in this battle as it is in most of the times I've played the scenario. But it is at least keeping those guard submachine gun guys down. They can really wreck your day if they get into the movement path of your Panzer Grenadier platoon at short range. They can really wreck your day. Alright, and what do we see here? There's a machine gun team. That's going to call for reaction because they're going to open fire on us momentarily. So we're going to go ahead and target them and try to get rid of them. I'm just going to use one squad in the hopes that that's enough because I want to keep the other guys moving towards the church. So I've changed one squad to target them, the others are still rushing the church. Go down into the smoke here and see if we can see what happens. And we could also stop and throw smoke grenades at them, but they're a little bit close for comfort. If there were a gap developing in the smoke, I would be more concerned about suppressing. But that, I believe, was the sniper. Yeah, that was definitely the sniper. But the good news is, we're fighting in the church. We made it into the church. The sniper, unfortunately, did a bit of a number on us. But what you see is, we got into the church. A squad is going to have more control than a sniper team, and we managed to get control of the church, and that's the objective, and achieved the requirements of the mission. Let me review the map so you can see what happened here. Here's the objective flag. Once we got a squad into the church, even a damaged squad, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. That sniper did cause us some serious damage coming in, but we've got probably 3 guys in there now against that sniper, maybe 1 or 2 guys. We've got control. We've also got a headquarters squad that is almost at the church. They're continuing to move through there. The sniper's going to be busy with the guys in there. Even if he takes them out, the headquarters squad's going to move in. They're trading fire with the machine gun team, kept them down. The heavy machine gun team kept down the guard submachine guns on the right. You've got to take the guard submachine gun squad and the maximum medium machine gun team out of the equation in order to have a chance at getting to the church. Once you get to the church, if they are not basically right in the church, you're going to get the objective. And you can take a look here at the fact of the other Soviet squads that we didn't see. We had more guards, submachine gun guys in those buildings, and over here in these. Sometimes some of those decide to head our way too. So keeping the smoke, covering the church to take out the sniper, using the heavy machine gun team to cover the flank that you're not covering with the smoke. I mean, you could alternately try to smoke this whole area and rush that side. Personally, I think this method works a little better. And we did take heavy casualties to one squad. We took light casualties to our machine gun team, and that was it. Performance was 89%. And the other surprise, if you don't use smoke at all, the Soviets have a 76mm piece over here that can actually shoot and see the edge of the church. So if you try to loop around the church without covering yourself with smoke, that's going to start taking you under long-range HE fire as well. Those are pretty much the obstacles and pitfalls of this scenario. That's the way that I usually play it to win it. I hope that helped. If you have any questions, go ahead and post in our forum, and we'll be back soon with another video. on Boot Camp Mission 2. We'll work our way through the Boot Camp campaign, then we'll hop back and do the tutorial as well. Alright. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a good day.